Good morning, bedheads. Click. This is a good old-fashioned coffee with Karen morning, although I have to admit I am now drinking tea. The coffee is going bye-bye. It is finally, I am admitting to myself that the coffee is causing me acid reflux. I have been in denial for a long time, and I decided it was time. So anyways, I'll get into that in a second, but we have a lot to talk about today. This is, again, just what I used to do when I first started this channel, was just come on and talk about spiritual stuff and connect it to things that are going on in the world. No cards, no predictions today, just a good old-fashioned coffee with Karen, which I'm excited to do every once in a while. And that's Lucy. So welcome if you're new here. I'm Karen from Ask the Spirit Guides. If you're new and you would like to join an amazing community of those who are just trying to actually work, not even trying to, but working on our inner selves, raising our vibrations, exploring our spirituality in a whole bunch of different ways. This is not one way to do thing kind of place. This is a place where there's really no right or wrongs when it comes to spiritual work. So welcome. And today we're talking a little bit about, I want to give an example of how love is winning. There's a great example of how love won. I want to talk about that. This is the tea. I decided, okay, instead of, normally what I would do when I am switching something is I'll go buy everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm learning. I'm not going to do that this time. Like, I would just go buy like 10 teas, and then I would be like, yeah, I don't like half of those. So I bought some red raspberry leaf. I had already had, I've drinking tea before, but I wasn't like a regular tea drinker. So I think this is delicious, by the way. So I do have a little bit of stevia in it and a little bit of lactose-free half and half. So I'm going to boil a whole bunch of this and put it in the fridge, like iced tea. And then if I want it cold, I'll drink it cold. If I want it warm, I can warm it up in a pan, So anyways, is this tea with Karen now? It just doesn't quite have the same, it just doesn't, does it? Tea with Karen. Come on. Click. Okay, so I wanted to show you one example, and then we're going to talk a little bit about paradigm shifting. I had just recently got this book. Now, I'm going to share this book, and I know that there's going to be folks here who usually when I share a book or an author or somebody, people have strong opinions. Some people have strong opinions. So I would just ask that, just stay open-minded. I'm sure there's history about this person. Hopefully we're all positive, but I have no idea because I just stumbled across this person and so I'm learning. But sometimes I introduce somebody and then people are like, whoa, because you have so much back history and I don't. So anyways, I'm finding this book very interesting. So I don't know if you guys know Penny Kelly. So besides this book, I'm also reading the book so I've got two books going. One is for the Spirit Circle. This is the one we're reading right now in the channel membership. So let your spirit guide speak. But this one I'm kind of reading because these chapters are pretty short. So I'm reading in between. This is so good so far. So good so far. So I'm going to talk about this, okay? And it's about paradigm shifting and where we are today with what's going on in the world is really what she is helping us understand here. So this was written in 2022, okay? All right, so here's an example of love winning. So this plantation in Louisiana, okay? So it's a sugar plantation, and we all know what happened on sugar plantations, right? So on the 15th, so 4 days ago, 53,000 feet this place was. 53,000 feet. 53,000 square feet this plantation was. Now, some of you might be like, how is that love winning? Think about it. That is love winning. And I'm not rejoicing in this because I don't want the karma. So I'm really saying neutral about it. It's just an example of love winning, which is something that I have learned from Venia, from my NDE from A to Z. I will post her channel below. She's amazing. So, but I'm going to, when I see examples of love winning, I'm going to show, I want to start paying attention to when love is winning, which is an amazing way to look at life. So, and that's what Venia has taught me. And so, I'd hope to bring that here as well. So when you see examples of love winning, please share them. I would love to, hey, Marcia and Lob and Jared, I would love to do a segment on the channel of love winning examples, you know? So, which means that when you guys in the community have examples of love winning, let's post them. Obviously, I won't be able to see everything, right? So post when you see love winning, and then we could do, you know, once a week or whenever we have enough examples, I could do a short video on love winning. How amazing would that be? It's interesting because I was just looking on my bookshelf over here. I'm going to show you. We did some little bit of rearranging yesterday. Okay, so we moved a different bookshelf in here and our larger TV because it just looked better and it made more sense in this area because the room is a little bigger. We had it in a big TV in the really small room. So anyways, but I was looking on my bookshelf and I'm like, you know, I kind of was into buying like these coffee table books, you know, because I thought it was interesting, you know, like the century. I'm looking over there, like, you know, like what happened over the last 100 years or what happened over, you know, I got an Obama one. I got a book that's called Let's Talk About It. And it's during COVID, during Black Lives Matter, when a lot of the damage was being done, on State Street in Madison, Wisconsin. A lot of the windows were broken, and what they did is this is total sidetrack. They put up all these boards on, and this is an example of love winning actually. So they put all these boards up to cover the windows so that people wouldn't keep breaking them once they replaced them. Okay, so remember we went through that, and so what happened is all these street artists came out and beautiful art, Black Lives Matter art, all over, up and down State Street, okay? Well, I got this, I found it at a thrift store. I was like, what? So somebody had bought the book. Let's talk about it. Okay, let me go get it real quick. Okay, so me getting up is like a production here. You're sitting on 3 pillows. I have to move everything. So it was called Let's Talk About It. It's a huge book. And so all of this, I'm pretty sure all of the, yeah. So look at the art that was drawn. I think they moved all of these boards. It was amazing. It was amazing. Look at that. So talk about love winning, because it was a really hard time, right? They were very angry, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys heard, but Minneapolis is preparing for the murder of George Floyd to be pardoned by our favorite F-45, Cheeto. So that's going to be great, right? So anyways, look at that. So this is what it looked like up and down State Street. It was amazing. And this whole book is dedicated to the artists. See that? So that was love winning. The fact that they turned it into this beautiful art installation, and it stayed up for like a year. So, and now this beautiful book, somebody had it, and now I got it for $3. So it's really cool. Anyway, so I was thinking about those books over there. That is a perfect example of love winning. But I was thinking about my books, like the Century books, and I thought, if you look through those, it's all the violent stuff. It's all the wartime stuff. And I thought, well, where's a book on love winning? Where's a book on all the examples of when things were amazing? Where's that example? And the thing is that's, this paradigm shifting that we're going to be talking about, because we know in this community that we have energy around us that can manifest things, right? We know that we can control our surroundings based on, and it's not easy, I'm not saying it's easy, but we are aware anyways that we have the ability to do that, right? It doesn't mean we all do, and that, it's just, it's the law of attraction, right? But then all we do is talk about, when we focus, and now I'm going to get rid of those, like those books on, I'm going to keep that one. But those other ones are all focused on war and, all the things that we really didn't want to attract, but that's all we ever focus on. And it's interesting that that's what they look at over the centuries, now that I think about it. So where are the books where it's just like, look at all the amazing things that happen? Because if they would put those books out there, then people read those, that's the energy we would put into the future, But no, that we keep focusing on, I'm definitely getting rid of those books today. Now that I think about it, I don't even want them on my bookshelf. What the heck? Okay, so anyways, so I don't think you guys need an example of, I don't think I need to tell you why the plantation burning down is an example of love winning. But do I? Do I need to tell you that? What's really interesting to me is the fact that it burned down, because if you listen to a lot of folks who channel right now, or if I were to ask the SGs, my SGs, but they're, people who channel are getting like real direct messages without asking. They're just people, it's the spirits talking through them. So many of them are talking about how Gaia, Lady Gaia, Mother Earth is cleansing, right? And it's fascinating to me that plantation burning down, I don't know if they know how it started. I didn't look that up. It didn't look like it was arson. But it started in one wing and it just swept through. The question is it cleansing the karma in that area, And now people, because it is one of their largest tourist attractions, which is unfortunate for the city. I don't wish that upon them. But now people aren't going to be going there to focus on that situation. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. To me, it's a great example of love winning. I can hear like the ancestors of Black slaves, like just kind of, celebrating, well, not the ancestors are the Black slaves. So yeah, you know what I mean? So anyways, this was also on my bookshelf. It fell out as I pulled. It's my, I've ordered this, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, just to make sure I had a good copy in case it ever got changed. Wanted to make sure I had my own copy. So, okay, let's talk about Penny Kelly. I will list this if you do want to get her book. I'm not promoting it for that. But since I'm talking about it, if you do want to get it and you use our link, we get a little bit of a commission. So it just supports our channel. But you'd have to get it on Amazon. So if you don't want to get it on Amazon, then obviously get it somewhere else. But let's just talk through this a little bit because I find this really fascinating. Now, a little bit about Penny, okay? Whoops, I just lost my notes. Come back. Okay, so she had a Kundalini experience, okay, which I have to look up what Kundalini was. Like, I'm starting to understand it. It's basically an awakening. So she had this really dramatic Kundalini experience, awakening. So A Kundalini awakening is a spiritual phenomenon rooted in yogic tradition where dormant energy coiled at the base of the spine is said to rise through the chakras, energy centers, leading to profound spiritual transformation, heightened awareness, and sometimes mystical experiences. Okay? So she had this experience, and she came to realize that she was one of maybe 200 souls that had come to Earth and these souls were, she refers to the group of spiritual beings as the ropes of light. And so they have she came to Earth, she's like one of 200, something like that, to specifically help Earth transition to the fourth dimension and then eventually to the fifth dimension. Okay, so she had this Kundalini experience quite a long time ago. I want to say in the 70s. I don't know that off the top of my head. So now, it must be kind of nice for her to finally be seeing some of this stuff happen, that she can see how we're, shifting. But that's what she's starting to talk about here in 2022 when she wrote this book. I think she's written like 14 books, but this one was written in 2022. Okay, so that's just a little background. So she does talk about paradigm shifting, which I remember actually learning about paradigms. I can even remember the classroom I was sitting in. And you guys know I don't remember a lot of detail. I can remember the classroom I was sitting in when I understood what a paradigm shift was. When I learned that in college, what a paradigm shift was. And I was like, it must have really had a huge impact on me, because I literally can remember sitting there thinking, I just had a paradigm shift, like understanding what paradigm shift was. So she talks, again, I'm just going to go through a few things here, and I'm not going to be able to give you all the background because that would be copyright issues. But so right now she says, okay, it is consciousness that shapes our world. Change the consciousness and you change the entire reality. Okay, so that's that's kind of what I was talking about with the books on the bookshelf. Change the consciousness and you change the entire reality. Okay, wise use. Sorry, I might be a little, because I actually underline stuff, but sometimes I underline things that make sense to me, and then trying to read them here maybe won't make sense. Okay. The danger during a paradigm shift or change is that, this is really interesting, that nefarious elements, i.e. F-45 and people who support him, may try to seize the levers of power. They then impose selfish and short-sighted controls that make life miserable for a lot of people. Such situations always end in destruction and chaos. Because of the access to media and the communication we now enjoy, we have the possibility of avoiding many of the difficulties that characterized a major shift in civilization, like in the past, okay? We have the chance to go avoid or take down those strong men who seek to gain control and empower themselves, then shut down freedoms for others in order to maintain the control. Okay, so she's seeing this. This was written in 2022, so she's seeing this as something that's going to occur as we shift to the 4D. Okay. Let's see. Again, this might feel a little disjointed, but I'll try to bring it back. It seldom occurs to us when wishing for a better life that we may have to suffer through the process. This part was very interesting, of watching an old world break down before we can get to the new world. Let me read that again. It seldom occurs to us, which is true. I think that's why so many of us, including myself, have been so flabbergasted and just upset about what's been going on, because it seldom occurs to us when wishing for a better life that we may have to suffer through the process of watching an old world break down before we can get to the new world. So we are watching the old world break down right now. And while they're actually breaking it down, which is kind of amazing, actually. But they're doing it for a nefarious reason, where we can now see that the breakdown is going to allow us to get to the new world. That's where my shifting has been. And if you're new here, that's a shifting that's happened in our community over the last couple months. It's what we've been talking about, okay? So even less do we think about the kind of human we would have to become and the consciousness that would be necessary to hold that new world, a world that would be organized around a new paradigm. So she is saying we are not only shifting, so what we're shifting consciousness from a new world. We're going from an old world to a new world, to the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension, okay? But we have to become new humans to do that, okay? And that's what this book is about, is how to become new humans in our consciousness. And that's, a lot of us are feeling tired. A lot of us are feeling maybe some anxiety. My anxiety kind of comes and goes, and now I'm meditating just to calm it down, and it really does help. Maybe the coffee will help me, not having so much coffee. But what's fascinating to me is, like, yesterday was the first day I stopped. I'm going to allow myself one cup. I'm just going to, I just allow myself one cup if I want it. But to be honest, like yesterday, I was like, okay, I just was ready. It's like I wasn't ready until yesterday, and the acid reflux is causing me to be ready. But my consciousness is shifting. So I can tell my consciousness is shifting, because I just woke up and I was like, okay, actually, I made a cup of coffee yesterday morning, and I looked at it and I was like, I don't want it. Like, I don't want it. I was actually paying attention to what I wanted. So it's kind of interesting. That's a shift for me. That's definitely a shift for me. So she says the following chart contains the 12 sectors of life that can be identified in the paradigm of almost every civilization. Okay. So these are the areas we're going to have to shift in to go to the new world, to go to the fourth dimension: humanity and society, governance, agriculture, education, medicine, religion, science, the arts, business and trade, money and finance, technology, and planet and solar system. Okay? Awareness of what you are already doing is a key condition of creating something new. Otherwise, we will just end up with some new version of the old systems. Okay? So that's why, our guides, what we're now calling the lead team collective, that's what they're calling themselves, our spirit teams here in the community. So once you find yourself in this community, your spirit teams have joined. That's kind of how I'm envisioning it. Your spirit team has now joined the collective spirit team of people in this community. Okay. They are calling themselves the lead, LEAD, team collective. Okay. And they have words that it stands for. I'm going to put together a little document for you guys so you can see it. Okay. So, but our lead team collective has been, over the last month or two, giving us little messages. When I get messages on the pendulum, they've been encouraging us to look inside, meditate, do the shadow work, do the inner work. I'm calling it inner exploration, okay? Because this line is perfect for that. Awareness of what you are doing, what you're already doing, is a key condition for creating something new. Otherwise, we will just end up with some new version of the old systems, okay? So that's why we have to look in. That's why it's painful right now. We're seeing things, what we're seeing out there, even what F45 is doing, is a mirror of ourselves in some way. Things are being projected back to us. how we've all contributed to the current structures of society. We have. We've all contributed to it, one way or another, unconsciously or consciously, okay? And I think it's painful to see it, you know? So, but we have to look at it. Otherwise, we're just going to create a new version of the old systems. And I'm not interested in that personally. So I'm going to switching to a different page. I have a couple more and we'll end it there. But some people and groups in our current paradigm are creating havoc, fear, and trying to make us believe that they are going to control everything. They are wrong, she says. Okay, I loved that. They are wrong. Again, she's one of the robes of light. She is a robe of light spirit having a human experience, but she's very aware that she is, okay, that she is one of the robes of light, okay, is what they call themselves. I love that. Some people and groups in our current paradigm are creating havoc and fear and trying to make us believe they are going to control everything. They are wrong. We are moving toward a world that is healthier, more cohesive, and has a much more expansive consciousness. We are moving slowly but steadily toward a fourth-dimensional system with a foundation of cooperation, correction, and regeneration based on the principles of do no harm. That's the principle, based on the principle do no harm. A fourth-dimensional system is committed to working together, creating benevolent but powerful technology and taking care of everyone. So that is ultimately, you know, again, if you're new here, what we're working here as a community to do is looking at the old stuff, looking at what's currently going on. How can we individually start to shift and then collectively start to shift so that we can move to this fourth dimensional state of being, which will be such a nicer place for the future generations on Earth. So we are being called right now to do that work. I know that for a fact. So what an amazing honor that we are being called to help do that. So it's not easy though, is it? Okay, so a few more ahas I had. I want to read to you just a couple more. The problem in each of these situations, so she talked about, what did she talk about? Food. My head is just, I can feel my spirit team like on my head right now. I understand what that pressure feels like when they're around me now. Since I've been meditating, I can feel them. Oh, this is what she talked about. I thought that was interesting. So when you decide that you're going to, let's just say, garden. So I have been, actually, this has been happening to me, which is why I found this so interesting. So there is a part of me that is like pulled to garden. I have I want to do container gardening because I don't have space to do. I didn't join a garden, community garden plot or anything. But like I have always been pulled to garden, but I don't want to garden. Like this side of me is like, oh my, like I love the idea of it. But I don't, when it comes down to actually doing it, I don't want to do it. Okay. So, because she said in order to do a paradigm shift, there's so many things that have to change when there's a paradigm shift going on. Okay. So if you decide that you need better food, okay, and will look elsewhere for it, you are introducing an entirely different set of beliefs and activities. Gardening will require more time, different energy, different clothing, an array of garden tools and equipment, a source of seeds, and new relationships with a different set of stores and shops. It will need a new relationship with Mother Nature, a willingness to drop everything when it is time to harvest, and the skill to process and preserve that food. The search for a local farmer or gardener who grows excellent, organic, whole food would also require more time, different energy, new relationships with others, different clothing, new relationships with farms and shops, time to process or prepare the food, so it is ready to make into a meal in a whole new attitude. So that's why paradigm shifting takes a while, because people are like, well, just garden, just do it. And it's, you find yourself, and this is the next line that she talks about, which keep this gardening, my gardening example in mind, is she said, so there, for many, there is a long period of stepping in and out of the new paradigm. I feel like I've been doing that. I bet a lot of us have been. Feeling like we've been stepping in and out of the new paradigm, okay, for years. You step in, the effort fails, and you temporarily return to doing things the old way. Sometimes with great frustration and a sense of helplessness. Why? Because it is too difficult to make some change and still have part of yourself enmeshed in the former ways of life. I love that so much. It's exactly what's happening to me. I think over years and years and years, I wonder if you can feel the same thing. It's just made so much sense to me. Because as we are trying to make these shifts, we have one foot still in the old way of life. We still have a huge grocery store with the entire grocery store, except for the end aisles, are all processed, not even food. It's not even food. That's what we still have. And it's convenient. So we go back and forth. It's like, oh, I just need to be, I haven't adjusted my whole life to, now some of you have, which is beautiful. This is just an example, but you can look for an example in your own life that might be different. I'm just using the gardening part and the food as an example. But I bet this is happening in all different parts of our lives, okay? And that's why it can be frustrating and feel helpless. Like, I feel like I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's because I don't have the correct support yet to do the work I'm doing with my rest of my life and then move in that direction of gardening, okay? It's exhausting to me. I want to do it the right way if I'm going to do it, right? Now, people who have grown up with that know how to do it and know how to do it well. But for me, it's a huge paradigm shift to be able to do that. And yes, I love the idea of it. Now, the in-between for me this year, which is something I've not ever done, is I have now joined a CSA. And it's a 52-week, actually. It's a 50-week CSA. And we are getting, so once a week, we are getting a bag full of groceries and produce that was just picked. So it'll be in season. I'm supporting a local farmer, a small farm that's organic, and we're going to be eating in season. And that's going to be a challenge for me in and of itself to always be able to prepare what's put in front of me, basically. So I'm taking on that, and I'm not going to call it a challenge. I just want it to be, it's going to be my paradigm shift this year. And maybe, like I thought, well, that's a happy medium for me. Then I don't have to grow the food, but I can support someone else who already knows how to do it. Maybe someday I will learn from them if that ends up being where I need to go in this paradigm shift, okay? Because she is definitely recommending that's not even recommending, but that's where we're going, is a lot of people growing their own food and then sharing with each other, and I don't know that I have to be the one. I could probably just continue to support the CSA that I'm supporting and let them grow the food and be the experts. And then I can continue to do what I like to do or what I'm good at, So anyways, I'll continue sharing a few things from here as I learn them. But just the two that I thought were interesting were the paradigm shifting, how hard it can be with the paradigm shifting, because when we have one foot in the old paradigm, which we all will do as we move forward, and then we get stronger and stronger towards the new paradigm. But in the meantime, there will be people and groups in a paradigm shift that want to control everything, and they will create havoc, fear, and trying to make us believe that they are going to control everything. But we know better than that. So tonight I already did a video that's posting tonight I actually talked to Trump's higher self. It's very interesting. And it gives you a little bit of insight. We talk a little bit about, and then he gave us some cards, oracle cards, some messages through there that will help us through this change of his lower self, basically creating havoc right now. So check that out. And I hope this was helpful. I found this really interesting. It will be interesting to see what opinions people have about Penny, but just try to stay neutral. If you have strong opinions, let people in the community discover their own opinions. Okay, I don't know that you will. I just have seen that when I've introduced other people before. So we're just, trying to remain low judgment area. Just try to be constructive with your comments. So, okay, well, have an amazing day, and I will see you tonight. Okay, bye-bye.